Okay, so there's another piece of advice that still works for these as well as right triangles. So in the last videos, we did it with right triangles, but always draw the triangles separately. That's really helpful. So if you notice, there's two triangles here. There's triangle STU, 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 and we'll draw that. And some of it's labeled. So you see the SU is labeled 4 centimeters. I'll leave off the, well, I'll go ahead and put it really small centimeters. And then you see how like the TU, if you look at that right there, that's the question mark. So let's just call that question mark, or you could call it X, you could call it TU. But the idea is we don't know what that is. So that's how we don't know what it is, TU, and I want to solve for that. Well, this is like, one triangle. Well, because these are parallel, it has to be similar. This yellow triangle, okay, which is what I drew here, has to be similar to this big blue triangle. So I'm going to draw the big blue triangle, which in the big blue triangle, T is at the top, but W is on the side here, and then V is on the side. And notice how on that triangle, 10 centimeters is on the bottom there, and on the side is 8 centimeters. 8 centimeters. So the proportion is a lot more obvious on this one than it is in right triangles. If you take the bottom side compared to the bottom side is equivalent to the right side over the right side. Because we know that because these are parallel, and the reason why we know they're congruent is these parallel lines form corresponding angles. So that's the reason why. But just always know that the parallel the similarities should be really obvious. You know, bottom side corresponds to bottom side. Now, don't try to make a connection between SW and ST. Notice how I'm looking at the triangle as a whole compared to this triangle as a whole. So the idea is that yellow triangle is similar to the um, blue triangle. So the proportion is 4 over 10, bottom over bottom, equals x over 8. 4 over 10 equals x over 8. You solve that proportion and you're good to go. Now, another proportion we could have done, I did 4 over 10 equals x over 8, but remember, you can go within the same triangle. I could have done bottom over side equals bottom over side. I could have done 4 over x equals 10 over 8. That is the same proportion. Notice how the 10 and the x are diagonal from each other, the 4 and the 8 are diagonal from each other. I could have done x over 4 equals 8 over 10. These are all the same proportion. The most important thing to remember when you're doing proportions for similar triangles, it's almost impossible to get the proportion wrong. Just don't do any like weird twisty things. Don't do like, oh, bottom over right equals right over bottom. No, no, no. Make sure you like keep it consistent. Bun over bun equals dun over dun. Or this thing within itself, right over bottom equals right over bottom. All those proportions are the same thing. Cross multiply, or like instead of cross multiplying, let me show you one other way. We could cross multiply, but to get x by itself, specifically because x is in the top, I could just multiply by 8 on both sides and then solve this and then get the answer. But if you cross multiply, you get the same thing. So this becomes 32 because 8 times 4 is 32 divided by 10. And that's the answer, but you could reduce that. You could reduce that to 16 over 5 if you want to put it as a fraction. But if you divide by 10 and put it as a decimal, whenever you divide by 10, that's just 3.2. So the answer would be 3.2 centimeters. Okay. If you prefer fractions, you do 16 over 5. Let me show you something if you've got a TI-84 calculator that's really useful. Let's do 32 over 10. 32 over 10. You can see your calculator divides and gets 3.2. If you really want it as a fraction, or say it's a multiple choice question, and for some reason they have it as a fraction, I really doubt they would in geometry, because we tend to like, when we're doing measurements, we tend to prefer like mixed numbers. But if you want to see that as a fraction, you hit math. That's that button right there. And you see that option, first option at the top of math is convert to fraction. Hit enter. It's like, hey, do you want to convert this answer to a fraction? And you say, yep. You hit enter again. So it will reduce. This reduces fractions for you if you ever have interest in that. All right, that's it.